Welcome to another edition of Thursday Thunderdome. My name is Chris. I'm here as always with my co-host Tyler.
Hello.
This week we're going to be talking about childhood.
Little kids. Us as little kids.
Us as little kids. We're soon to be fathers. You're a soon to be father.
You are a father.
I am a father, as
Yes.
as is well documented on the show. So we were just kind of shooting around and talking like I got a kid, you got a kid on the way. What are we going to do? What are we going to allow our kids to do?
Well, yeah, just think of like all the dumb shit we used to do.
Right.
Like the things we could do back in like the early 90s or even late 80s for you, like versus that wasn't even like you being an old man slam. I feel like I announced that a little more. But like I'm just saying like the like later 80s, early 90s and more mid to late 90s for me of like the stuff we could get away with then is
Right.
like way different now. And I'm not even saying like in the eyes of the law or whatever, or like, cause I know me, like I know like a simple example of like I never wore a bike helmet. I don't think I ever owned one. I rode my bike everywhere. And it's like, yeah, my fucking kid's gonna wear a helmet. Like it's easy to crack your skull open and you die. That's it. Like, like you lose a kid and I'm sure there's like a bunch of dumb shit that you used to do.
Oh my God. Growing up where I grew up, I mean, I had a whole bunch of friends. We did stupid ass shit all the time.
Like you have a story like already prepped. Like you were just telling me about this story, and I
yeah.
can't believe it. And I'm very excited to hear the rest of this.
So growing up, I was a bit of a pyromaniac. And this is okay. So this is my childhood. I would go over to my grandmother's house, and she would allow me in her driveway to light things on fire, to burn things. She would buy action figures at garage sales and bring them to her house so then I could go out there with her magnifying glass and shoot them with my laser beam, right?
Yeah.
Just turn the sun into a laser and like melt them. And then it got to the point where I was lighting stuff on fire, and she would sit there chain smoking her cigarettes with a pitcher of water next to her so she could put any fire out that might have got out of control.
Well, was she doing this so like you just wouldn't light shit on fire in the house? Like was that like it was like the kid's gonna light something on fire, so let's just do it outside in a controlled environment.
Right. Well, it started with the magnifying glass, right? So you've got the magnifying glass, you're burning things, and eventually you get some paper to catch on fire, and then eventually, you'll light some other stuff on fire with that, and so she wanted me to, indulge my curiosity into things. Like she would buy, old electronics that didn't work anymore, and I would take them apart and try to make a ray gun out of it or something stupid, right? But it created in me this just interest in fire, and I love fire. I'm still a bit of a pyro. I have, a fire pit in the backyard. Every house I've ever moved in, if it didn't have one, I made a fire pit so I could go sit outside and watch the fire. Like there's something calming about it to me. I just enjoy fire. Well,
and then you killed a homeless person, and now you're trying to hunt the next person. Like,
right.
Hunt one of your friends down.
Why are you telling people that? Why are you telling people?
I know. This is my last podcast. This is actually the most dangerous game where he lets me loose in his backyard and chases me down.
Yeah. I'm gonna take my dog with me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're hunting dog.
So I go. There's this field near my house, and now this is not at my grandma's house anymore. This is just me stealing matches from my parents' home, and then walking over to a friend's house. His name was Rex. And behind his house, there was a field, just an open field. And this was we're coming out of winter, coming into spring. So the grass is all dead and it's brown.
Right.
We go stand in the middle of this fucking field and throw matches into the grass and try to stomp it out. And then each time we're like, ooh, let's let it get a little bit bigger.
Yeah. So not even like you're not burning something specifically. It's just, we're going to go throw fire in a dead field.
Correct.
Okay.
We're just
You got it.
We're just going to throw
Jesus.
matches in. And then, we let it get bigger and we try to stomp it out. And eventually, you can't stomp it out.
Yeah. How old are you at this time?
This was probably 5th, 6th grade. So how old is that? Like
10, 11?
11?
Yeah.
So not real old, but old enough, right? And so we light it on fire. And we're like, holy shit, we can't put this out. And so we run out of the field and we get to his driveway. And by the time we turn around, we look back. I mean, I was shorter then, but the flames must have been going 30 feet in the air by the time we got to his driveway. And then I just book it. I'm running to my parents' house.
This is how
And-
California catches on fire, by the way. Dumb kids like you.
I'm on the way back to my parents' house, and fire trucks are blowing by, just wah, coming by, and it's like, holy shit, I'm gonna be in so much trouble. And I just kind of slow down and I just walk back, so I'm like, I can smell a little bit of smoke on me maybe, and I just like I need to air out a little bit. And I get home, and it's on the news. Like I walk in, and my parents are watching it on the news, and they're like, Chris, did you see that this field's on fire? And I'm like, no, that's crazy. What happened?
Do your parents know that you did it now?
They don't.
They still don't?
They still
Okay.
don't.
Do
So
do
if they listen to this
podcast? Okay.
episode, they're going to find out. I've made it 30 some odd years without telling
There you
them.
go.
But yeah, I mean, it's just that kind of dumb shit because my parents, great, they let me go do things and they trusted me to go out and be a responsible child in the neighborhood. And I stab him in the back.
Yeah, but it's so weird about that because I something I always like appreciate of my mom and my father too. Of they're always very like letting me just be very independent. Like I remember just walking to other neighborhoods away to go visit my friend Jimmy Nimbus, who does our music.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Like I would just go over to him. I'd be like, hey, I'm gonna go over to James's house. See you guys at some point. Like I don't know. Like I would just like walk through people's yards and like not do any kind of like normal path or anything. Just be like, and this is anywhere from, God, like probably the same age, like around 10 and on. It's just like, I don't know. I'm just gonna go. Or like, I remember like setting up a golf tee in my front yard and just hitting golf balls down the cul-de-sac. Not like wiffle balls, just like actual golf balls. Just like an asshole, just like knocking these heavy metal things into like people's shit. And like, I can't believe I never broke anything. Like,
Oh,
or if I did, I didn't know, which may be the case too.
I can tell you that if I ever buy my son a BB gun, there's going to be a long conversation about what we shoot and what we don't.
I always wanted a BB gun, and my parents were really smart not to get me one.
Oh, my
Because
parents!
1000%, I would have shot my brother, I would have shot myself, I would have shot a bunch of other people. Like,
My parents were very smart to take it away from me after something I did.
your brother? No, you don't. You're a single. You're a single
I'm
kid.
single. I'm an only child.
Animal or another person?
No. So behind our house there was doctor's offices,
Okay. Elderly patients.
and there's cars parked there.
Okay. Okay.
And so in the old fence, right? It's got like little knots that have fallen out, and there's a hole in the fence.
God.
Just stick the barrel of the gun up to that, and then just shoot the cars
Oh
that are in
my
the doctor's
God.
office. And then, like, I don't know when it happened after I did that, but these ladies who worked at the doctor's office came around and were knocking on doors and asking, does anybody own a BB gun or something because there's damage done to these cars?
Mm-hmm.
And my dad, without even talking to me, just basically says, nope.
Yeah.
And then
because he knows.
He knows. And then he comes to me and he goes, son, did you? And I go, nope. And he goes, well, I'm taking the BB gun anyway.
You blew your chance to be honest with him and get a lesser punishment. Like,
But I mean, it's one of those weird situations where it's like in other things, I would have gotten a spanking or been grounded or something. But in this one, he's just like, I get it. I probably would have
Right.
done the same thing is what he's thinking. I'm just taking it away from him. He just
Yeah,
can't have
yeah.
it anymore.
yeah, and it's like, I remember like I never did. To my recall, I don't remember doing anything that destructive or anything
I was a bad kid.
particularly destructive. But like I remember just like taking my bike and riding it down to like the local grocery store, which like that bike ride is probably, I don't know, 30 minutes more. Just
Yeah.
like just by myself. Like, and I wasn't like wearing a helmet or shit. Like I didn't have cell phones back then, so it's just like I'm just gonna go. And I like, would I do that with my kid? Like I don't know if I can. Like just, and it's not that particularly. I think that time was any less dangerous than it is now. It's just you see more about that and more is known about.
We hear more about it. It's on the news. Social media spreads it faster. I mean, I did the same thing. Like when the Star Wars special editions got re-released in the theaters in the late 90s, I hopped on my bike, and rode 30 minutes to a theater to go see all of them because I'm like the biggest Star Wars fan that I know at that time.
Right.
And I'm like, I need to see these in the theater. This is my one shot. So I ride on my bike in 1995 or 6 or whatever, whenever they came out, and I'm going to see these movies by myself. You know, no adults.
Yeah,
I'm going
so in 95, how old are you? You're probably like 13?
14.
14? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And like 14-year-olds are stupid.
Very dumb.
All teenagers are stupid. I
Yes.
cannot believe, like, I think back and like how shitty of a person I was.
Oh, I was an ass.
And it's like all teenagers suck. Like it's just like a fact. And like
It's a fact of life.
I just see like everybody like around that age now. I'm just like, oh, I fucking hate you. Like I cannot believe how dumb you are. And of course, at that time, you think you're invincible and like you're smarter than everybody in
Oh,
the
of
room,
course.
and like you're just
Yes.
so fucking stupid. And I remember being like that way, like thinking just how cool I was. But like, goddamn, I wasn't. I can't believe that any of that happened. And I'm still alive. Like I was like
there's so
drowned in
many
some fucking
things.
lake somewhere
Right.
because I was doing something stupid.
I mean, I'm surprised I'm not, burned. I'm not.
Yeah,
I
you.
didn't drown. That I didn't shoot myself. I did stupid things like I burned shit in the garage before. I used to take like my dad had all kinds of tools. I'd take the hatchet in the backyard and like chop,
Oh, yeah. I
chop
did
shit
that.
up,
Yeah.
right?
Just like-
I'm already talking to my wife about okay, he's 6 months old. I need to get a locker that I can put a lock on to lock up certain things in the garage.
Yeah.
Like, and he's not even old enough to like walk out there and grab the hatchet, right?
I remember
but I
like
wanna
doing the
lock
same
that
thing.
stuff
Like we
up.
had a couple axes at our house, and this
almost
is
chopped my toe off.
we were chopping just. We were just not even chopping. We were just hitting pieces of wood with an axe.
Yes.
And like we swung like fully back with like arms above my head, and the axe head flies off. So like if any of my friends were behind me, I could have like murdered them or seriously hurt them just by like it's just like it like flipped over like, oh, that was lucky. That was it. And just like
Yeah, you just brush it off as well. Still got my toe, or my friend's still alive.
yeah,
you
like
know?
I remember like my dad had a bunch of crowbars, and like one winter I just. I don't know why I did this. I just took them outside and just started throwing them. Like I was just like at the side of our house. I was like throwing these crowbars in the snow. I lost a couple of them, and he was really, really mad. I got in a lot of trouble that we never found that crowbar too.
Yeah. Okay. So growing up, I was in Boy Scouts. So of course, like I've got Boy Scout shit, which involves pocket knives and other kinds of knives. Well, I would take those out into the backyard and then practice throwing them at the fence.
Right.
To try and get them to stick, because it's like, yeah, I'm a badass. I'm going to learn how to throw a knife in my backyard.
A pocket knife of all
Right.
things.
Yeah, pocket knife, which is not even meant for throwing.
Right.
But it starts with your dad's like, he teaches you how to whittle, and he shows you how to like 3 inches away from the wooden deck, throw it into the wooden deck. Mm-hmm. You're like, oh, that's kind of cool. You can just kind of throw it. And he's really just kind of dropping it into the deck, right?
Right.
And sticking
But
it.
to
It's
you,
like,
it seems
to me, he's throwing it, and I'm like, yes, I'm going to learn how to throw it at the fence, and then if somebody fucks with me, I can throw it at them.
Yes,
You
the
know?
like preteen badass phase
Right.
of like you think
I'm
you can do
invincible. I'm
anything,
going to do
yeah.
whatever I want.
Well, and I just
God.
think about like me and my brother were like really into wrestling. I'm like most people that age because my brother's 3 years younger than me. So we were probably watching wrestling like I was in middle school, and I probably did it early high school too. I thought that shit was real too. I was like so into it.
Oh, yeah, of course.
And I was like, it's got to be real. It has to be.
It's
and
on
then-
TV, man.
And then I grew, I'm like, that shit's all scripted, but the story's really funny. I'm actually surprised I don't like wrestling more. It's basically superhero comics. That's all the same shit. But like, I remember wrestling, like we would like set up pillows and shit, and I would like power bomb him. I would like pick him up and just like fucking whip him into these. Like, I can't believe I didn't break his back or like severely hurt either of us by fucking wrestling around and like doing all this dumb shit. And it's not like my mom was like sitting there watching or anything. It's how are we ever gonna like our kids are gonna do dumb shit like.
Right, and it's not like I'm sitting here saying I want my son to not do any of these things.
Right.
It's more I want to be more aware and maybe be a part of some of the things with him. If
Yeah.
if that makes sense. Like if he's like, yes, I want to wrestle with my friends, great. I'm gonna sit in the room and let you guys do it. That way if something fucking happens, I'm there to quickly help. But there was so many times where I was just trusted and I was unattended and thank God nothing happened, that severely injured me, but I don't want that to happen to him.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I remember one time at my friend Jimmy Nimbus's house. Like this is in high school too. Like this is, I think, before we could drive. He had a basement that had carpeted stairs, and I like stood up on it and I started like falling. But like I was like in my like memory, I was like spinning, but like I realized now like that couldn't have happened. But like I'm like sliding down the stairs, almost like you've done it, like if you like fell on your ass, or like even like did it on purpose, like sliding down the stairs, and like didn't do it on purpose. So in my mind, I was like, oh, if I just stand up, I will stop. But I am going down the stairs like full force, so I stand up and like launch myself into the wall, and like they have in their scrapbooks they have a picture of it. There is like this like 2-foot long, probably 6-inch deep hole where like my body went into the drywall, and this is like that's insane. Like I could have been like severely hurt, and I was like, oh, that's crazy. Like, James, I broke your wall. I'm sorry. And like we had to go somewhere, and like he just left a note for his mom. This is like, hey, Tyler fell and broke the wall.
Hey,
like, sorry.
We'll fix it later.
Yeah, that story still comes up every now and then. It's very funny.
That's awesome.
But like it was just like us in the household, and like what? How old do you think your kid will be when you're just like, nah, you can be by yourself?
You know, I haven't given that a whole lot of thought, and I'm thinking when was the first time I was by myself, and I feel like it had to have been because I would come home. I remember coming home from elementary school.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
did either of your parents stay home?
No, both my parents worked, and I had a key in my backpack, and it was attached to a little clip inside the small pocket, right? And I would come home and I would watch cartoons and eat cheese snacks and whatever, right? But it was clearly in elementary school. I know that.
Mm-hmm.
I think it had to have been 8 to 10.
Right.
Because it was 5th, 6th grade, and I know we'll catch flack for not knowing how old you're supposed to be.
I don't
age,
know.
but
Yeah.
like I just don't remember that. I know that I came home and I was by myself at some point in elementary school. So I would imagine around 5th, 6th grade is when I would consider doing that, depending on, and it probably depends on how does he behave up to that point.
Right, and I'm sure it's different for
habits?
everybody.
How does he behave? What does he do? Does he listen to what we say? Can I trust him?
Mm-hmm.
You know, but I know daycare is expensive, and I don't.
Well, like, would you do like after school programs and?
Possibly, it depends.
Was it called latchkey? Is that what it is? Be a latchkey kid?
Yeah, where you come home, right?
No, it was no. There's like after school programs. Like, I don't remember why it was called latchkey. But like, I don't know if that was just like in my area or not, if that's a thing. I feel like I've heard it other places, but it was after school, like kids would go to this like one area, and like there'd be like some adult presence there, like a teacher or something.
Yeah.
And they'd be there till like 5 or something like that.
And I wonder,
until like parents could pick them up.
What good does it do? Like, I mean, are they doing additional educational programs with it?
I think it's, I don't even think that. I think it's more of just like, hey, like, we're watching you, but you can just like hang out with your friends, do homework, or like they may have like
monitored.
Yeah, like it might have like activities or something.
Monitored.
Yeah,
session,
like
right?
like they're like, kids aren't dead, we're fine. Like that's,
right,
that's pretty much what it was.
We guarantee your child will be alive by the end of this.
Yeah, that's all it really was. Because I think I started being by myself probably the 10 to 12 range. All right, so to do my own mental math that no one knows, because my father died like 2001. We moved in the house the year prior, and I remember specifically like bargaining with my parents, like I can stay home and watch my brother at the like house, the prior house to that. So that was probably 10 to 11. Like when I started.
I think that's really when. I mean, I know that I'm pretty sure the junior high I went to had like after school programs for kids where parents didn't want them to go home, but I know for a fact the elementary school did. But I didn't do any of that. I came home. I either went to a daycare that my parents paid for after school stuff, or I came straight home. And I started riding my bike, and it was
were you
good.
close enough to ride your bike to school?
Oh, yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Ours was like, I could have. I woke up early, but like, I never did.
No, I usually got dropped off in the morning, and then I would walk home.
I did that a couple times.
Then I think I eventually, maybe 6th grade, started riding my bike. Now, I don't know how it was for you. 6th grade for me was still elementary school. And then junior high was 7 through 9.
Oh, okay. Because I spaced out for like a second. Did you say, so you basically didn't have a middle school, or middle school was 7 to 9?
7 through 9. And then high school was 10, 11, 12.
Yeah, ours was K through 5, then 6 through 8, and then 9 through 12.
after being a teacher, I've come to find that is the norm.
I've never heard of yours. I've like
My school district growing up was very different in that regard. We did different things in high school than I've ever seen anybody do. We had trimesters. So we had 3 semesters.
Yeah.
I know most schools do 8A-B day, or they do shortened classes, but they do a lot of classes in the day. We did 5 classes a day for trimesters.
Yeah, because ours was like Monday was you go to every class, and then you would alternate like 3 or 4 classes a day, the other rest. Yeah, because I've never heard of that. That's an odd scenario for like middle school. Because like I usually hear it's like the way I've done it, or it's like K through 12, all one school. Like I think that's what my wife did because she went to like a private Catholic
Small school, yeah.
Or it's you'll hear like K through 8 and then high school.
Right. So there's actually a school district that's very close to where I went. If you're a high school football fan, South Lake Carroll Dragons. Garbage.
I'm nodding because I totally know what you're talking about.
So
how many high school football fans do you know? Do people still watch high school football once you're out of high school?
I think it's just a Texas thing.
Okay.
To be completely honest, I think
that was
it's
weird.
I think that's one thing that Friday Night Lights got right, is that we love high school football in Texas. There's this district, South Lake Carroll, that I'm pretty sure the high school was just 11, 12, and then they had like a pre-high school. I can't remember what they called it. That was 9 and 10, and then they had 6, 7, 8, and then they had elementary school. Like it was very broken up, but there was only the one high school. There was the one pre-high school. There was the one, and then a couple elementaries.
Right.
It was all a funnel in so they could have good high school football. I mean, there's systems for this in Texas.
Yeah. I don't doubt it.
But like where I went to school was very different than the high school just down the road that was in the same school district. They didn't do trimesters. They did 8A-B day. Mm-hmm. So each school just kind of chose what they wanted to do. It's very different in Texas from what I've seen in Indiana.
Talking about like walking home from school, because this is a traumatic event, I remember specifically walking home with, again, Jimmy Nimbus. And he'll have to probably correct me on the details. I don't even know if he listens to this, to be honest. I hope he does. I'll probably hit him up after this. But we were walking home, and it was like the walk from middle school to the new house that I lived at probably took like an hour for us to walk. And it's not like we were like, we're just like meandering and taking a while.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Like,
it's not like you're just power walking home,
Right, exactly. But like, it wasn't like a short distance. And we were walking down, like, there's this really big hill. And we're just walking, and he swings his leg over, he just swings his leg over a fire hydrant. He hits his leg. He's like, oh, fuck, that hurt. And I was like, oh, okay. And like we're walking by. He's like, oh, man, my leg really hurts. And I was like, I don't know what to do. You hit your leg on the fire hydrant. We walk a little more. He's like, I need to look at this. He rolls up his pant leg, and there's like an inch hole in his leg.
Holy shit.
I saw his like muscle tissue and everything, and he was like, it wasn't like bleeding profusely either. Like it's like. It almost like it's like when you like stretch something too tight and you hit it and it kind of like splits.
Yeah,
that happened to his shin, and like I remember saying like, oh my god, like what the fuck happened? Like, and it's like again, this is pre-cell phone, so it's like this is where I can't remember what we did. I assume we had to have flagged a car down. Because like,
oh sure,
what else were we gonna do?
Flag strangers down to take you to the hospital.
Yeah,
right?
My friend Jimmy Nimbus has this fucking hole in his leg, and like I can see inside his body, like, and I really don't remember what happened after this. So I'm gonna have to like hit him up and see what happened because that's insane. Like he had to get stitches for it, and like he still has the scars on his leg. Like it was just a crazy thing that happened. Oh, because we just walked home. He wanted to swing his leg over a fire hydrant.
Home. And that's crazy. Okay, so that brings up a question. When do you give your kid the cell phone?
Every time I think about that question, I think it's earlier and earlier. Like, I got a cell phone, was I 18? I think I was 16 when I started driving. And that was like my bargaining chip with mom. I was like, hey, mom, like, I'm driving now. I should be safe and have a cell phone. Like, clearly I just wanted to like text my friends or whatever it was. But like, that was my bargaining chip with my mom. Yeah. It's like, I'm driving now. Like, this would be good to have. And like, I think it's like, why do kids need a cell phone before 16? But then it's just like, because kids go do dumb shit. And like, and they like,
kids are dumb.
And they're just going to go places. And even if like, I was like the most controlling parent, like, they're still going to sneak out or like lie to me or whatever and go do something. And if they get in trouble, like, they should be able to contact me. So like, I don't know, man. It gets like lower and lower. My age bar gets like lower and lower every time I think about it. It's definitely over 10. But do I wait till they're like a teenager? Like probably middle school?
So and that's where I think our age difference is gonna show a little bit because I didn't have a cell phone until I went to college.
Right. So like,
So-
would you remember what your first phone was?
I do. It was a Nokia brick. It was like the 82080 or something.
Yeah, it's
like one of those
'cause
dumb numbers, right?
All Nokias look the same. It's
Right.
it's the same like front facing.
Oh yeah, yeah. It was just like a candy bar style. It had
Yeah.
the antenna that was stationary. It didn't like extend or anything. It had Snake. But I remember getting my dad to drive up to where I was at college and co-sign on the cell phone for me because I didn't have credit.
Yeah.
You know, but it was something I wanted, not something that my parents were going to get me because we had a phone in the dorm room, and for them that was good enough.
Yeah, like the
You know,
only
because
reason I think
nobody
I had one was
them,
because
right?
I
Nobody.
asked my mom, was like, "Hey, I want one of these," because my mom had a cell phone. My dad had a cell phone like I said, like my dad passed away in like 2001. Like he had a cell phone like years before that. He was like early on the cell phone train. He was really proud of it. It was like a shitty like green screen. It looked like a Game Boy. like
Oh yeah, it had greens. Did it flip too? Like
yeah,
it was a brick.
Yep,
Oh yeah,
it was a flip
yeah,
phone. Like it wasn't as big as like a Zach Morris phone or anything. It was really like open wide, like no bigger than like my Google Pixel right now. But like it had the very green screen, like an old school calculator, like a Game Boy.
Oh
and,
yeah,
like,
for sure.
I remember he was very proud and like put like Velcro on the dashboard of his car so he could mount his phone on the car because my dad's a goof. He also bought a CV radio. He's a weird man. So when would you give your kid a phone? What do you think?
Well, I struggle with that because
So like okay, give me your answer and then I have something else to follow up with that.
I struggle because I get the desire to have your kid connected to you.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I think there's something to be said for a kid having their independence and being able to go and make decisions. So do you give them a cell phone because they need the entertainment or they need to be connected to you, or do you give them a cell phone for them to have true independence or whatever the case may be? I don't know. I just feel like around the time that he learns how to drive. So 15, 16 is kind of where I'm at.
Because that's my thought too. But think of like how young people have cell phones now today.
I know.
It's like very, very widespread. It's no longer just the thing. It's like, wow, I can't believe that like 10-year-old has a cell phone or like that 12-year-old has a cell phone. Like everyone has a fucking cell phone. They're so young now. And like that kid's gonna be pestering you for years to get that phone. Because like all his friends are gonna have it. Like he's gonna feel left out.
Sure.
And that's where I'm just like, because for a long time, it was like my answer was like, oh, when you learn to drive, you'll get a cell phone. But now it's just like, man, fuck. Like probably because I think my brother at that time, like cell phones were being a little more widespread, and like my brother had a cell phone before he started driving. But he'd ride his bike off and be gone for hours. Like you never know, and I think it's less about being connected to us, but more being connected to their friends. And like that's the way they could like my way of communicating with my friends was AIM. I used AOL Instant Messenger all the time. Like I'd go home, like I was gonna say do my homework. I probably didn't do my homework.
Cried a tear when they closed it down officially.
I was still surprised that they had it. But like that's how I spent my nights. It's just like I'd have 4 or 5 windows open, just chatting with my friends about probably
God knows
literally
what. Yeah,
nothing.
nothing.
Like trying to like hit on girls, like thinking that would do anything through.
Oh
AIM.
yeah,
Like,
yeah, oh yeah. You send them a winky face, you
Yeah,
know.
God.
Back before we knew they were called emojis.
And just thinking about like all the dumb profiles I used to put of, like, here's this really deep thing. And I was like, I fucking suck. God, teenagers are the worst. I hate teenagers. But and that's what's just like that's why every time I think it's like my kid's gonna get like a cell phone like younger and younger every time I think about it.
You know, my wife and I have really talked about when do we want to introduce iPad? When do we want to introduce cell phone? Because that's a struggle. I don't want to be sitting at dinner and my son just wants to be on a phone, you know, watching a video on YouTube or whatever the case may be. Because first off, I don't trust a lot of the content that's put out.
YouTube's a scary place for kids. YouTube's bad for kids.
It is. But a lot of parents
people
let their kids watch YouTube. And, you know, my wife's been told a few times by friends like, oh, you'll give in. And I think we're
Casey's like the most stubborn person I've ever met.
and she's kind of like, you know what? Probably not.
Yeah.
You know, we're going to be very selective with
She's
it.
going to listen to this and think I'm an asshole, but whatever. She's fine.
But she's stubborn in a good way.
Right, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like it's never like no for the sake of no. She usually has some kind of
very
principle
thought
behind
out
it.
reason
Right.
why. And I guess my fear is I didn't grow up on it, but I'm still, able to adapt to the technology. I think my son's going to grow up with it more readily available and use it. I'm not saying we're not going to let him use those things. I think we're just going to be very strict with when and how he uses them.
Right.
Because even at 6 months, if I have my phone out when I've got him in my lap, he's reaching for it, and I'm like, nope, and I put it down, and then I give him a toy or something else, or I read him a book. I don't want that to become too quickly a part of his life, and for a lot of kids,
Eventually
it
they're
very
gonna
quickly does.
even like young age, they're gonna sneak around too.
Well, they're gonna go to freaking elementary school, and they're gonna get a tablet put in their hands, and I know that's gonna happen, and I know they're gonna be connected. I just want to be more a part of that and have very intentional conversations around it and why it's I'm scared of the people on the internet.
Yeah, absolutely. Like there's even our friend of ours who has 2 young kids, he had showed us, I can't remember what the video was. It was like a theme song to some kids show. And like he posted it in our Slack channel and I watch it just because he's like, this has been stuck in my head for like all week. And so I listened to it. I was like, oh, that's really catchy. And at the end, something really scary happened. Like somebody jumped out or like screamed or something like that. I was like, did you watch the end of that? He goes, what? No, like I just posted it because I knew what the song was. I didn't listen to it. I was like, watch the whole thing. Like, they're like, because people like, maliciously like put up kids things, and then at the end like something happens or it's like horrifying for kids, and it freaks them out and freaked me out, and I'm fucking 30. Like,
right.
But the other thing I think about of like when and when not to like have your kid like do that stuff is, I remember like going to dinner and like wanting to read a book. It's like I don't want to talk to my family. I'm going to fucking read Harry Potter or like whatever it is. So I understand the concern, but I also wonder like it might not be a symptom of YouTube or whatever. Just be like, kids don't give a fuck about about you for a while. There's
right. No, and I get that, and so I try to think back, and I'm sure I was an ass when we went to dinner with my family.
Yeah.
We all were, right? But I don't ever remember being allowed to read a book or listen to music, or I obviously couldn't be on a cell phone because they didn't exist, in that capacity when I was growing up. And I think there's just something to be said to be able to sit down and have a family dinner.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so my wife and I, we've made a decision to, most nights of the week when we can, to sit down, even with our almost 7-month-old son, to have him sit at the table with us and have a dinner where we're not on our phones, we're not doing anything else. We are having just a conversation about how was your day? Not to, I don't know, use technology, but just to have a better relationship. Mm-hmm. And I think if we just start that early on, like that's going to naturally be what he wants to do, I hope. That's right. My theory. Again, I know I said it probably in the parenting episode. I didn't read any books about how to be a dad. I just figured, you know what? I'm a smart person. I can probably figure out some things from what I've seen and what I would want and how I was raised. And I'm going to take pieces of all of that and kind of put it together. And I think when I grew up, I didn't have any of these things, and we turned out just fine. And our parents made it work, and we were able to get our entertainment and have conversations and grow up to be normal, functioning human beings.
Right, and I understand all that, but like there's always like a generation thing about that too. Is like when our parents were growing up, because I believe our parents are actually the same age because I have older parents.
Yeah, pretty close.
Like they didn't have Game Boys, but we had Game Boys.
Yeah,
and then like when their parents were growing up, they didn't have TV, but they had TV. So there's like, oh, we grew up with that, and then it was fine. Like it's like I understand all that, but like those cultural things will happen no matter what, and like your kid's gonna like sneak around on the iPad or whatever. But I understand like what you're doing.
Well, and I guess,
and I will try to do the
same thing. And I had a Game Boy. I remember going like I got to take a day off of school to go buy the Game Boy.
Awesome.
Like my grandma and my mom and me, we went to Toys R Us and we bought the Game Boy.
Rest in peace.
And one of my first games I got on it was RoboCop.
I don't think I ever played the Game Boy RoboCop.
That had the scene where you have to like aim the gun and shoot between the lady's dress to shoot the bad guy.
That was really in the game?
Yes,
That's
it
funny.
was. And so, I mean, that's my first game, but I never played it at dinner.
Right.
But I had it. And that's where I think I don't want to get lost in, okay, yeah, I know we're gonna use an iPad. We're
No,
gonna
and
we're gonna
I
give them
understand the
those
sentiment
things.
of everything that you're saying. Like, I
it's-
absolutely do.
There's family time, and then there's, okay, you can do these things time, and that's kind of where I think I'm at with it, and I think Casey's on board with that. Is we just want to try to be intentional with our time, and I know there are probably going to be nights and days where we give in and we like just take the damn iPad and
Right.
play a game or watch a video or whatever, right? Like, get out of my face, that kind of stuff, right? But I think I really, when I think about my childhood, I didn't do that.
Yeah, we had
I
dinner
was-
together every night. Like, that was our thing.
was-
And like every now and then, like my brother and I would like beg our parents, like, can we like just watch TV this one time? Like, and they every now and then they did it. Like, we usually had dinner all together. And that was it.
Yeah, I mean, I know there were some nights where we had dinner at the table, and there were some nights where we got to watch TV while we had dinner. Like, my parents kind of mixed both in. But I can tell you, every Friday night, there was pizza and a movie,
Yeah,
And,
that's Friday night. It's the
but
treat.
it's Friday
Like,
night, and that's what
yeah.
you're supposed to do, right?
Right.
And those are the ones I remember the most, right? And I'm not saying I'm going to take those away, I just, I don't want to be out, and I've seen kids listening to music at dinner with their family.
The craziest thing is I was at
They've got their damn
like
You know,
Beats
head-
headphones.
headphones
like
on
these huge
at
ass
Chili's.
headphones. Yeah, and like mine was O'Charlie's. That fucking O'Charlie's sucks. I hate O'Charlie's. But like I was like staring at this kid. And like this kid's like straight ignoring his family. Like he just has these big ass headphones on. It's like not even listening to his
Right.
family.
And I'm not down for that. Like if I'm
that's
paying for you to come
insane
to
to
dinner
me.
with me, and I know I sound like a curmudgeon and an old man when I say that stuff, but
No, I'm with you. I'm in the
I
same
just
way.
want you to be a part of what we're doing.
Like you don't have to
we're
pay
out
attention the whole
dinner.
time. Just sort of pay attention. Give me like
Right.
the sure. Like give me
you-
that.
can
That's
you
all I
pretend?
need. Right,
You know, like-
exactly. And like because this kid was like clearly in high school, and this is like and like
Well, and teenagers are the worst.
yeah, I was gonna say it's like maybe they're just like fuck that kid. Like wait till he moves to college and then he'll be an okay son again. And I just that's just crazy. And like, so did you? It didn't sound like it, but were your parents like helicopter parents at all?
No, not at all. I mean, I did. So in Texas, you grow up and you do sports at some point,
Right.
right? I never did football. I did soccer and baseball. But you've got those parents who they will go to the soccer game or the baseball game or the football game, and they'll tell the coach how to fucking coach.
Ugh.
No, my parents weren't those parents. They just wanted me to actually participate and try.
Right.
And they had to bribe me to like swing the baseball bat. Because I was not into sports at all. I very
Same.
distinctly remember my mom going, Chris, if you try on this next one, I will take you to Wet n Wild, which is the water park. And I swung the bat and I hit it and got first base. And she's like, that's what I got to do to get you to try.
All right. We can't afford this, Chris.
Like you're supposed to like get good at this and like support me.
Yeah, my dad tried really hard for me and my brother to be in sports, and we did it a couple years. We did Little League. I did baseball for a bit. Oh, I think I did like football like one summer, but like in basketball, but like none of that stuck.
Yeah, my parents were real good about they wanted me to try a bunch of different things, but if I didn't like it and it didn't stick, they were pretty good about letting me move on to something else.
Right.
And eventually I got into band.
Yeah, and that's what I
and that's where I
did.
landed, and we both played clarinet, and like I enjoyed it. It's what I
did.
liked.
I did it for years, and like I was listening to jazz music today because I just love jazz and think about all that. Like
all that jazz.
all that jazz. But like, okay, so I very much love my mother-in-law. She's a great mother. I think she's wonderful, but like she is like a helicopter parent, like real bad. And like I think fortunately like it was never too negative. Like I've seen like I did when I was in college during the summers, I would work in the dorms and like we did tours for the kids. And you could tell like the parents were just like who were like way too and they're like asking all these questions and shit and it's like I am trying to talk to your son. I was in an all-male dorm. And it's like holy shit. Like stop asking. Like my mom was like we're going to the campus and then she made me do everything. She's like I don't this isn't my school. I don't give a fuck. like you got to go figure it out. But like when we're like this is like a while ago and we're talking about our kids and stuff. She's like, yeah, like like when you drive your kids to school every day. I was like, oh, we're not doing that. And she's like, what? I was like, they're gonna fucking ride the bus. Like, I rode the bus and bitched about it for fucking 12 years or whatever it was.
Payback.
Yeah, and my mom still brings it up how much I complain about because fuck the bus. Riding the bus sucks. But you fucking learn character on it and you learn to deal with people, and that's the way it is. Like you will ride the fucking bus. I'm not going to drive you.
Being a school bus driver is pretty great, though.
Is it though? I feel like it sucks.
Oh, no, man. So, riding the bus sucked. I hated riding the bus in junior high. I turned 16 pretty quick after I got to high school, so I started driving my car pretty quick, but when I was in college, I was a school bus driver. And it was
What a weird job.
fantastic.
What a weird job to be a college person.
So here it is. You're getting paid at the time, this is back in the early 2000s.
I mean, they get paid pretty well.
$12.50 an hour to start. I drive 3 hours in the morning, 6 to 9. I go to class. I would drive then, 2 to 5 in the afternoon, and then on Monday through Friday, no nights, no weekends.
That's pretty good.
It's freaking great,
Yeah.
man. Loved it.
Yeah, and it's like I just see like some parents be like so super involved, like way too involved. Like I just can't do that. Like
Let your kids live, man.
yeah.
I mean, I know I've talked a lot about I don't want technology to be too prevalent and to like rule their lives, but at the same time, you still need to let your kid live and do their thing. I don't want to live vicariously through my child. I mean, if my son grows up to be an amazing athlete, that's going to be awesome. And
That's
I'm gonna
a constant
like,
joke between me and my wife is like they're not gonna like any of the shit that we like, and they're gonna want to be in sports. And it's like, oh, we're gonna have to go to so many fucking games. like good for the kid, be athletic and go have exercise. But
and
it's
that's
like,
where you should just have wider interests, Tyler. Because I love the nerdy stuff and I love the sports. Too.
I will very happily watch my kid do sports. At that point, I'll probably get into sports, at least the ones that they are a part of. I don't care about anybody else. But yeah, it's like, oh, that's insane. We had someone in my dorms. I think this was my sophomore year. It was a freshman. His mom would call the director of the hall to make sure that the kid was up. Like, because the kid wouldn't answer his phone because his mom's calling too much. And the director's like, that's not what we do here. Like, I just make sure your kids are safe. Like, I'm not going to fucking wake them up. Like,
make sure they don't die overnight.
Yeah. I think that kid had like a lot of like weird messed up home life too. Because we were talking about like the weirdest shit like our parents ever punished us for. He's like, oh yeah, like my parents made me kneel and salt and pray. And we were just like, what? And then we killed the conversation because it was like this got too bad. It was like, oh, my dad spanked me one time or yelled at me. It's like, nope, this got too far. We went too deep.
Sounds like his mom was like Carrie's mom from Stephen King's Carrie.
His name was Carrie.
Was it really?
Yes, it was.
Oh man.
The off chance he'll ever listen to this, I don't remember his last name. But yeah, it's just like it's always like a struggle of like, because I can easily understand how like people become helicopter parents versus like not being. It's like it was like weird balance of like trying not to be too attached, but like not attached enough, and like you just want to be part of your kid's life, and it's
100%.
And like it's gonna be the point where like our kids are gonna want nothing to do with us at all.
There's going to come a day where they don't want anything to do with us, and then once that happens, it might end and it might not.
Yeah.
You have to figure out how to work through that, and some days they're going to want more to do with you than others. And I know that's common because that happened with me. And it got better after a while, and yeah.
Yeah, I had the same thing. Like I probably had wanted anything to do with like my mom like in high school, but then went to college and like when I'd come back, like we'd go see movies or whatever, and we still do that. Like if there's a movie we want to go see, like oh let's go see this movie. Like then we'll go, like me and her will just go out and like or go have dinner or something, and like never would have done that in high school. Like fuck that, unless my mom was paying, and I was like hey, like I want a free meal,
free ride.
And then same thing with like my brother. Like I feel like my brother and I like weren't very good friends in high school. Because like I said, we're only 3 years apart. I was a senior and he was a freshman. But then as soon as I went to college, like
with freshmen,
we started like talking a lot more. And now like whenever I see him, it's like we can just sit there and like just talk for hours about whatever. Just because like it's not like we don't like text each other or call each other that much. But when we actually do see each other, we'll sit there and just talk forever. Like nothing changed and just catching up or figuring out whatever's happening.
Those are the best relationships, and I think you're able to do that partly because maybe you don't text and call a ton, You know, you have things to catch up on, and I like that. You know, I'm not known for calling or texting a bunch of people.
Yeah,
But,
I'm bad at it too.
you know, but when I see them and I'm able to go, oh, let me tell you about all of these things that have happened. You
Yeah,
know,
and and to invoke the name of Jimmy Nimbus again, like he is he's family to me. I've known this man for 20 plus years, and like he was at Thanksgiving and like he stayed the night and like we hung out for a bit and like him and his wife just talked for hours and like I don't know, the last time I talked to him was probably when I saw him the year prior or like even the year before that. It's not like we like text or like catch up that all the time. It's just
right?
when we see each other, we'll just spend a bunch of time and talk to each other. And like
Yeah.
like I said, like he's my childhood friend and like one of the few that I've kept in contact with, and like, we will always be friends. And like him and like my friend Isaac, like both of us, like all three of us are just forever linked.
Right. Yeah, I mean, and I've got a friend back in Texas. His name's Chris, and so it was the two Chris's, you know, at the church, and you know, we're around each other all the time, and I haven't talked to him in years. I mean, it's been a long time, and I know that if we were to meet up, it would take us probably 5 minutes to get going, and then we'd just be right back at it.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's the awesome part about childhood friends, right? Like you have this bond because you've both been through it together, and you don't lose that.
Yeah, and it's great. Like everyone has those, and it's not like you keep all of them, or even like you end on bad terms. Like I had a friend message me on Instagram just saying like, "Hey, like I listened to one of your episodes on the podcast," and like I cannot remember the last time I talked to her, and I've always loved her. Like she's great. Like we were like me and a bunch of friends, like including Jimmy, like and Isaac, were like all part of like this group in high school, and like I probably haven't talked to her since like the first year after college. It's probably been like 10 years, and she just messaged me, and like we see each other on Instagram and just kind of keep up. That is kind of like nice about like Instagram and Facebook is like I can pseudo keep up with my friends, and even if I don't pay attention all that well, I'm like, oh, they had it good for them. That's awesome.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think that's probably the one good thing out of Facebook.
Yeah,
that you get right.
Facebook's a nightmare. Go like our page.
And I think that's probably, you know, getting back to letting a child use a smart device.
Thank God we did not have social media.
Right?
Like, fuck that.
That's probably the thing that scares me the most. You know, okay, so I got bullied as a kid. You know, I mean, that happened. You know, I had glasses. I was in bands. I was a band nerd,
you're a
right?
dork.
Like, I was just a big fat dork, right?
But did you tell people you lit shit on fire?
No, that was for me. That was my private.
That's how I let all the rage out.
We were afraid of getting back to your parents. But I just remember, you know, kids picking on me. One in particular in junior high. He was, I don't know, messing with me, knocking my glasses off or something. And he's a 9th grader and I'm a 7th grader. And I was like, fuck this. And I grabbed him by his shirt and slammed him against the lockers. And he's like 5 inches taller than me. And I'm like, leave me the fuck alone. He never messed with me again. You know, and I think that's the thing that you can't do with cyberbullying.
Yeah, because it's essentially, even if you know the person, it's essentially anonymous.
Right. You can't stop it. And so, yeah, I got bullied, but I was able to stand up and stop it. You know what I mean? And kids, and that scares the shit out of me, is that something's going to get said on social media and then it's going to turn into something that it shouldn't turn into. And then how do you stop that tidal wave?
Like I started Facebook, I think it was my senior year of high school. That's when it first started being like more public. Or maybe I had my like Purdue email at that time I could get in. But like I still go back and delete things like I had posted on Facebook and when I was in college. Because like, what the fuck was I saying that dumb shit? And like if that's in college, like think of like the dumb shit we would have said in like middle school or like high school.
Yes.
All this awful shit. And then people just like sending like young people like sending like nude pics to each other and like here's a picture of my dick, like enjoy. And it's like it's like this weird idea of like you can get arrested for that, and but like they're so young and so fucking stupid, they just don't know any better. And like I'm very like torn on that situation. That's all I really have to say about this subject. This is like I don't know.
Well, I mean, I know when I was a teacher, and this is no childhood story here, but I'm an adult. I like to go to a party, and I like to have a beverage. You know, I'm gonna have a beer. Maybe in a cocktail.
yeah,
a
you
glass
bring
of
your own
wine,
cooler
right?
so people know
I
it's in
bring
the
my
cooler,
old man
yeah.
cooler and pop a beer open, right? So I, in my wisdom, dressed up in a box that was wrapped in Christmas wrapping paper, and it said "From God." Two women,
Right.
and it was me, and I'm walking around in that box, and I've got my drink in my hand, and I'm taking drinks, and people are taking pictures, and I'm not thinking anything of it. And then a friend of mine takes a note on the back, and he puts "Dick in a box,"
Awesome.
and I'm like,
Your
"That's
friends are
hilarious.
very funny. Yes.
That's awesome, right?" Well, the picture ended up on Facebook. Okay, no big deal. Except the teacher that posted them was friends with current students.
Oh, weird.
And so those students who are in my class came into my room and wrote on the board, without me seeing, behind my projector screen, saw your picture in the box.
Oh my God.
And I'm like, son of a bitch. So I'm then on the phone in my classroom calling the teacher who had the party and was like, look, you've got to find out who posted these and get them taken down because this shit ain't funny.
Right.
This ain't gonna fly. I'm not doing this. And from that point forward, I've been very selective about who I friend on Facebook, what I post to Facebook, and what's public to just random ass people finding me.
Yeah, I have a friend who's a teacher in high school, or he teaches high school, and it's just like I ask him questions
People
like this
lose their
all the
jobs
time.
over that
I'm
shit.
just like, how do you talk to people? Like do you do social media? Like it's so weird. Like because I think we saw like when we saw Ant-Man, like we ran into one of the students. Like this is weird, man. Like I don't really know you as the teacher. Like you and I were freshmen together in college. Like that is who you are. Like you're not a teacher to me. Like it's weird that you talk to students.
Yeah. Well, and okay, so when I was teaching, we would, have happy hour. So we'd go to a bar. Teachers need to drink and let off steam, right? We'd go to a bar that was a town over. Well, kids worked there. And high school students that were 18 would bring us our drinks.
Oh, weird.
And that's like, okay, we can't come here anymore. So
Yeah.
So
then burn this one to the ground, go to the next one.
Yeah, you're like, I lived in Denton. This was in Little Elm, and Little Elm is quite a ways away. And so we decided if we're going to go for drinks, we have to go to Denton. We cannot get drinks
So
in
weird.
Frisco right next to Little
Right.
Elm, so it's insane, and I get worried. That's probably my biggest concern for my son is he's going to one day get on Instagram. He's going to get on Twitter. He's going to get on Facebook. Those were things I didn't have to
post
deal
such
with.
dumb shit. Here's my new Fortnite video.
Yeah.
And whatever.
Fortnite season, 75.
Yeah,
By the
here,
time he
like-
plays.
Or like whatever, like girl or boy broke his heart and like just some long terrible post about that.
Right? And I'm gonna read it and I'm gonna comment on it. Like,
You're gonna look at it? I would never do it.
what does this mean, son? Because I'm gonna turn into a dumb parent at that point.
I
and-
don't ever want to be friends with my children's social media. Like I will do that once they move out of the house, and that's the only way I contact them because they won't talk to me any other way. I did see my mom finally liked one of our posts though. I was like, I feel so good now. yeah.
My mom liked it.
Yeah. So cool.
But I think that's probably my biggest fear because
Social media is so scary.
we didn't have to contend with that
No.
when we were growing up. Like, I think back to my childhood, and it's like the worst things I was doing was burning shit down.
Yeah.
But now you can
That'd be
burn
on your Snapchat.
you can burn the fucking world down on Facebook because people commit suicide because of stupid shit that kids
Yes,
say
I
to each other
know.
on
It's so
Facebook.
depressing.
And that is probably the scariest thing for me. I could deal with my son doing something dumb like, breaking an arm because he was trying to do a stupid stunt on a bike trying to cross a creek or something like I did, right? Like building
Jimmy
a ramp.
Nimbus rode his unicycle on the trampoline and broke his tailbone. I've talked about him a lot this episode. I hope he listens to this. But yeah, we're dumb.
But that's it. Like, I honestly, when I think about it, I'd rather him be able to tell the same kind of stories I'm telling, as opposed to having to deal with stupid ass shit that can prevent him from getting a job.
I know.
That could cause somebody to hurt themselves, because of something he said or was said to him. That's probably the scariest thing in the world for me.
Yeah, and I think that's just something like we as adults are gonna have to deal with, and now of like teaching our children how to use social media And if you send that nude pic, it is going to get sent to multiple people. It is not, no matter who that is, it is not going to one person.
Yeah, no, it's going to end up on like the shame websites or Reddit or something.
Yeah, something terrible.
And then you're going to run for office one day and it's going to show up in the middle of your presidential campaign and your dick's going to be all over CNN.
That's going to be interesting in like the next like 10 years when we start seeing stuff like that of like, this is, I mean, really, we're already seeing that with Ocasio-Cortez, where there's like, here's her dancing in college. Like, shut the fuck up.
Who cares?
Of like all the white ones to talk about. But yeah, like, childhood is scary and cool, and we're worried as a father and future father.
Yeah, it's a scary thing. I mean, but it's coming.
Yeah.
It's coming.
Yeah, but with that, thanks everyone to listening to Thursday Thunderdome again this week. I just want to thank Sarah Lichty, who I also knew back in middle school at the earliest, I think. So I've known her for a long time.
Look at you, just using your friends to help out the podcast.
Absolutely. We paid her, so she's fine. Jimmy Nims did it for free, but I will owe him later. I want to thank Sarah Lichty, who created our logo and did our graphic design. You can find her at sarahlichtydesign.com. Great logo. Thank you, Sarah. You can find the aforementioned Jimmy Nimbus and his now healed leg for doing our intro and outro music. That song is called Top Off, and you can find it at jimmynimbus.bandcamp.com. And please check out Hotel Records, which he's also part of. You can find us on all our social media.
All of them.
I don't think we posted too many shit for our kids to see later. Ours is pretty cool. You can find us on Twitter at Thursday T-Dome or on Facebook and Instagram. Remember, go like all that, please. At Thursday Thunderdome. If you want to leave us any comments, questions, topics you'd like to hear, you can contact us on Twitter or email us at thursdaythunderdome@gmail.com. And finally, you can find all our shows on the podcast platforms. Podcast platforms like Google Play, Spotify, TuneIn, and iTunes. Go ahead.
I think I read something. It's not iTunes. It's Apple Podcasts.
Oh, yeah, what? iTunes and Apple Podcasts. You can find Apple Podcasts on fucking iTunes. Either way, please go rate, review, subscribe. That helps us out. That helps us grow our show. We hope you like it. And the more you tell people and the more you rate and review and subscribe, that helps us and get our dumb messages out about how scary social media is for kids and what our friends do to their bodies when we get fucked up and like walking places or burn fields down.
Fields, yeah. Well, we need to burn more of them down.
Burn them all down, and thank you.